Change. Most of us run from it. We treat it like a storm we have to hide from. But change is ruthless. It doesn't pity the weak, and it doesn't favor the strong. It hits you when you're least prepared, right when you're the most confident. But when the dust settles, you're left with a choice. Do you let that change consume you, dragging you into a void you don't recognize? Or do you take that change, put your hands on it, and make it your own? I'm done mourning the version of me that didn't make it. Today, that man stays dead. Today, there is no more who I was. There is only the can be, the will be. I am auditing my soul, crossing out the complacency and keeping only the fire. Today we start the journey I've been prepared for since the beginning. There's no more waiting for a sign, no more asking for permission. Today I am the architect. Today we begin. Today is the change. Today is probably one of the most important episodes in this entire series. Because today it's about setting goals. It's about setting the framework of what I want to be the result of this entire process. Because it's all fine and dandy to go through all of this. It's all fine and dandy to, say that I want to find myself and do these things and put in all this work. But if I don't even know what I'm working towards, or I'm not putting that out there to hold myself accountable, then ultimately this entire process is just going to lead to the same mistakes that I've continued to make, because I'm not working towards anything. I'm not motivated to truly become myself and truly be okay with that, because I'm just going to do whatever it takes to get out of this situation and put myself in a different situation and just repeat the same behaviors. So today is going to be kind of hard, I think, to talk about for me, because I've always had ideas, I've always had goals, and I've had dreams, but never really about who I want to be, never about like the actual life that I want to live by myself. It's always been somebody else's dream. It's always been somebody else's idea that I've kind of latched onto and like, you know what, that sounds great, let's do that. So I'm going to have to face a lot of uncomfortable truths today, I think, and I'm going to have to be very realistic about what this process is going to be and what it looks like. And, I'm hoping by the end of this, I at least have solid goals set that I can hold myself accountable to, that you guys can hold me accountable to. I want to start with our short-term goals. I want to start with 3 months, and then 6 months, and then 1 year. So within the first 3 months of this process, I really want to be in a place that I think I have a good foundation to be able to begin what I would consider, like, I guess, the next phase, and that's like the mental and the emotional rebuilding that I'm going to have to go through. But in order to do that, in order to be in a place for that, I think that I have to get, my material needs and situation sort of in order before I can do anything else. So in the next 3 months, hopefully, ideally, I have a car and a job. Those are my two main goals right now. Obviously, in order to do anything, I have to have a source of income, and I have to be able to start making money, so that way I can do whatever it is I want to do from here on out. because I don't think that where I'm currently at is the answer. I don't think that that's where I want to stay long term. But in order to make anything else happen, I have to get some money saved and have a means of transportation. Those two things right now are holding me back the most. And because of that, also, it gives me more time to dwell on things that I probably shouldn't be dwelling on right now. And so within that first, 3 months, that's kind of where I want to be at. I do have a job interview, or I had a job interview actually, and we're waiting to hear back about that. So I think that there's been steps in the right direction, but ideally, within that short-term time span, that's kind of where I want to be at. So at the 6 month mark, ideally, I think is when I really want to start being kind of at peace with the things that I've lost, and really just kind of get a sense of closure both for the relationship that I lost, as well as, the bits and pieces of me in the old life that, I loved and that I liked. Those are things that I'm always going to miss. And so by the 6 month mark, I'm hoping that I'm kind of at peace with that, where the loss doesn't feel so heavy. Well, I can look back on the memory of everything and see it with a fondness, not so much as pain or sadness. Because by all means, as we go throughout this journey, I know I'm going to talk a lot about this relationship, and I'm going to talk a lot about the bad things. But it's very easy, obviously, to look at things like that and to see, only oh, this situation is terrible, this situation is awful, because in order to get over anything, you have to see both sides of, every situation. And so I spent so long, I guess, denying that it ever was bad, that now all I can focus on is the bad aspects, but I don't want that to taint my overall perception of what that relationship was and what that meant to me, because there was a lot of beautiful things in that relationship, and a lot of things that that really was the most, I think, peaceful, the most stable, and the most growth I've had personally was within that relationship. So I can't look at it all negatively, but I want to be able to get to a point, at least by 6 months, where I can look back on it and just see the fondness of things, kind of start seeing the lesson that I needed to learn from that relationship, and really just kind of start the process of finding that closure, whether it be directly or indirectly, just sort of being at peace with the finality of it all, and not kind of still holding on to that hope that I know eventually is going to come crashing down, but it's just easier to kind of grasp onto that. So by 6 months, I'm hoping that I kind of have a plan about where I want to go. So to think a year from now is kind of crazy to me to even set a goal for that far away, because when I think back a year ago for last year, so much has happened in that time span. I mean, if you would have asked me a year ago if I would have thought this current situation was happening, I probably would have laughed at you. I probably would have thought that was crazy. I never would have imagined things transpiring the way they did. So to think now ahead in the future about where I could be or what I could be doing, it's very hard to, I guess, put words to that or to set a goal for that. But I think ultimately by 1 year, I want to be able to answer 3 questions. And that is, who am I? What do I want? And where do I want to go? And I think that if I can confidently answer those 3 questions to myself, that I truly know who I am. I know what I want and what I want to do, and where I want to be. If I can answer those questions for myself honestly, without hesitation, then I know that this entire process, this entire journey has been a success. By a year from now, I want to be in a place that I will know whether or not I'm ready to move on, or if I still need to do work on, that side of my life, that side of my heart. Because I know, especially now, the thought of even going through that kind of process again, trying to give yourself to somebody, to be vulnerable, to try to build a life with someone, like the thought of any of that terrifies me now. And that's something that, truly does worry me, is I really don't know how I'm gonna get over this. I don't know if I'll ever get over this. The last thing I want is for me to be, I guess, caught up in the what if of what could have been for this entire situation and never allow myself to move forward. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm going to want to move forward, if that makes sense. And so a year from now, I want to be able to confidently know if I'm ready or not to go down that adventure. And if not, then I want to know, what else I need to work on before I'm ready to that point. In a year, I want to definitely have my own place, wherever that may be. Hopefully North Carolina, back doing my own job, living sort of the same life, but even better. In a year from now, that's really where I want to see myself. I think if those things can happen in the next 365 days, then everything that I'm documenting now, every tear that's shed along the way, every failure, every win, it'll all have been worth it. Even if I can only answer who I am, I still feel like it's still a success. Just, I don't want to feel any lingering longing for the situation that I'm currently in now. Because it's easy to look back and feel more at peace with what you're familiar with than an unknown piece that you're not comfortable with. And I want to be able to accept that and be able to accept whatever changes might come along this way, whatever situations might arise. I want to be comfortable accepting that in my life and being able to take advantage of those opportunities and just truly know deep down that I'm confident with who I am. I'm confident with what I want. Nothing is going to change that. And that leads me to the next part of this, is who I want to become. Now, this is something that I have thought a lot about. I spent a lot of days thinking about the answer to this question, because I could sit and give you a list of adjectives: caring, nice, considerate, passionate, whatever have you. But at the end of the day, I don't think that there's any list of adjectives that I specifically want to be. There isn't a specific image that pops in my head. It's more of just an understanding, I guess. I want to be somebody who is confident in themselves and who is confident in the things that they like and don't like, and okay with being myself unapologetically, no matter what people may stick around for that or what people may lose. I may lose from that. I want to be somebody who loves and is loved equally, and I want to be somebody who has a future, who has a goal, who has purpose. I think those are more the things that I envision when I think about who I want to be, is just, I guess, just purpose. If I could wrap it all into one word, is I want to be somebody who has a purpose. And I want that purpose to be my own. I don't want it to be based on somebody else or somebody else's wishes or dreams or wants. Obviously, I want to be a husband, and I want to be a father, and I want to have a family, and I want to create the best life I can for that family and for whoever is by my side. And, I still want the same things that I did before, but I want them to be wants it for the right reasons. And I feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense because I don't even fully know what I'm talking about because I've never truly explored the possibility of any of this to the extent that I am now. So it all just feels foreign. I just feel like I'm just saying stuff because it's hard for me to answer that question if I'm being truthful. Because even at the end of this process, I still don't even really know who's going to come out on the other side. I mean, my biggest fear is that nothing changes and that I'm literally the same. I do the same things, make the same mistakes, and I am just okay with this vicious cycle that I have been living my entire life, essentially. So, I mean, that's my biggest fear. And I think not knowing the answer to that question kind of feeds into that fear, because if I can't answer that question and I can't envision who I want to be, then I'm just going to be complacent with what I was. And it terrifies me. And I really have to, I guess, just stick to being open to whatever this might bring. I think ultimately I just want to be okay with whoever comes out at the end of this process, but I do know that there's identifying behaviors that I want to lose. You know, I don't want to be people pleasing anymore. I mean, I want to make people happy. I think that's always something that I want to keep, but I don't want to do it to the extent that I lose myself in the process. And, you know, I want to be someone who can set boundaries, and I want to be able to feel okay with sharing my true, honest feelings and not conforming them to whatever the situation needs or to whatever the person may or may not want to hear. So there's a lot of things that I know that I don't want to keep, but in terms of what I want to gain, I don't know. And I think I just have to be willing to accept that it's okay right now to not know. But along this journey, I think that's where I'm going to truly discover the answer to that question, and ideally who I want to be at the end of all of this. You know, I know it's not going to be easy, and there's going to be a lot of times that, like right now, I feel motivated. Right now, I feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to kill this, but you know, I'm sure as soon as I turn the camera off, that sadness is going to hit, and that the heaviness of it all is going to start weighing. And you know, I may wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what, it's not worth it, I give up. You know, you never know, but I'm going to try with everything that I can because I have nothing to lose. I have absolutely nothing to lose. I could try and fail and still be where I'm at now, or I can try to succeed and be more than I ever thought I could be. So no matter what, I will give my best effort, and I just ask that, you know, you guys hold me accountable as well along this. Is if you see times where I'm straying from what my goals are, or if you see moments where I am reverting back to behaviors that I am working so hard to overcome, you know, that's what this is here for, is to be that accountability check, to be that anchor to hold on to, that I can look back on and be like, dude, you said in 3 months you're about to have a car and a job, and you're still only making YouTube videos, and that's it. Like, you've done nothing. You know, that's really what this is all for. And so I'm just very grateful that I get the chance to share this experience with you guys, and to be vulnerable, and to show that no matter what, no matter how old you may be, no matter your situation, what you think you have lost, you can always make something out of nothing every single time. Let this entire experience be living proof that you can make something out of nothing. And if anything that I've said today, or that I say along this journey resonates with you at all, then this will also have been a success. And I just, again, am very appreciative of you guys allowing me the opportunity to be vulnerable. Even if nobody ever watches these, I want past me to thank future me for being vulnerable and for exposing just how complicated and how hard this can be, but also how rewarding and how beautiful this can be. And I'll see you guys hopefully in a little bit. Keep checking for like the reality checks and stuff. I'll have some updates about, the everyday situations, and this isn't over now. It's only just starting, and I'm grateful to be able to share all of this with you guys. But yeah, that's about it. So take care, big dog. Ho! I know this journey won't be easy. Even looking at the road ahead, there's a part of me that's screaming not to take that first step. This isn't just saying goodbye to yesterday. It's saying goodbye to an identity. The letting go of the hopes I held, the dreams I dreamed, and the love I loved. Sometimes I'm unsure if the promise of what's ahead is actually better than the chaos that I'm leaving behind. Familiar pain can often feel safer than unknown peace. I don't have the answers yet, but I know that in order to truly live, I have to go down this road. I can only hope that what's waiting at the end is worth it all.